Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning, and you're looking and you're listening to a live edition of PodUp Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Friday. We have JC. We also have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. And if you missed it last night, I didn't see one play. Heard he played pretty good. I heard Will Levis played well, but they lost the game to the Steelers. The Steelers are 5-3, I think, and they have been outgained in every game they've played this year. It's quite amazing. There was some college football. Didn't see a play. JC, you're on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements.
Oh, yes. Thank God. I have a roof on my house. He gave me two roofs on the two houses I've owned in this beautiful little quaint village. QB, welcome. I'm happy to be here. Friday, we love it. Another home game. Fans,
should I give them a roll tide roll?
Roll tide roll. I mean, come on, man. You want to know at least in the West who's going to win, right? I mean, Gator fans got to care about that. And even though it's been how many years? I guess 5 or some odd years since I've been to Atlanta. Oh, and by the way, this thing with Central Michigan and McElwain not knowing who's on his sideline.
I've already told you, Mike.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I'm just saying, I'm so tired of hearing about it, and I'm so tired of the lie. Everybody's lying and just passing the buck. This guy, it's no wonder that guy didn't last year. I mean, he doesn't tell you the truth. He's dishonest. His integrity is definitely in question. Michigan's integrity is in question. How about that? They use a consumer confidence index at the University of Michigan. It's a great school. The Ivy League, the Big Ten folks think that their schools are Ivy League that can play football. That's what they think. And it's ridiculous that this thing goes on. If they don't take care of this and that new Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, doesn't take care of this thing soon, this conference is going to look as stupid as it is. And they've got 4 schools coming in next year, 4 very good schools coming in next year. They got to get their act together, man. This thing is ridiculous. It's cheating, and they need to clean it up. I don't care what they do, but they need to do something because everybody knows what's going on here. Okay, everybody knows, and the fact that McElwain's tied up into it, the fact that he coached at Michigan in 2018, what a shocker.
Yeah,
but I digress. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you do. Andy on Facebook Live asked a question here, brought to you by Mellon Law. Andy, how much trouble will Buchholz have with Trinity Catholic tonight? 0. It'll be a running clock. It's not. You're talking.
Yeah.
You're talking. Georgia versus Southwest Dakota State Eastern University. It's no comparison. I would say running clock, but Chuck Bell and the crew, they may call it off and not make it too bad. But there's not even.
Why is Buchholz so good? Why is Buchholz so good, QB?
Buchholz had a lot of transfers come in, JC.
Okay.
There's no other way to put it. And they got probably the best high school player I've ever seen in person in Miles Graham.
Really? Ever seen in person? Better than Dalvin Cook? Yeah.
I didn't see that. Well, I saw Dalvin Cook play, but Dalvin Cook didn't play both ways, JC. He plays both ways.
Yeah, that's at that level of high school, that is incredible. That really is.
Yeah, so there will be no issues with them at all. I have a text here. Somebody was joking around, said roll tide, JC. This is George. I want to, JC, I'm curious this because I got a lot of Alabama friends.
Yeah, man.
Are you a roll tide or a roll down tide or a roll FM tide or MF tide?
I'm just a roll tide. I'm an 80s guy.
Okay.
I'm an 80s guy. But, we were terrible. We were so bad. And this is what I tell Gator fans. I said, back in the 80s when Barrett Bryant died, we had a drought, man. It went for about, I think it went till 92. Let's say that. So that's 10 years of absolute dryness, drought, terrible football, couldn't beat Tennessee, had trouble with Auburn every year. just sucked. I mean, just absolutely sucked. And Florida, I think with this coach, we haven't seen it yet, but when you see these guys that they're going to sign, I think you're going to be very pleased and hopefully more excited for the upcoming seasons, which are going to be more difficult with the scheduling. So that's what's going to have to happen. And, he's got his job cut out for him, but I'm not giving up.
We'll have our Peachland Dental picks here momentarily, but there's a lot of decent games around the country this week, and we'll get on top of those. JC, did you watch any of the NFL game last night or not?
No, I did. I saw some of that Tennessee game. I wish they would wear those Oiler uniforms with the oil derrick on the helmet. I do. I love that better. But Pittsburgh is just that solid NFL coached, hard-nosed team of Mike Tomlin. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. I don't know if Tennessee will make the playoffs. But it's hard. This Amazon Prime thing, I can't get into that. I don't have any problem with Al Michaels. I think he's a Hall of Famer, maybe most legendary announcer of all time, without a doubt. But I don't have Amazon Prime. I guess I could get it. I was at the restaurant, and I just watched it. Did you watch it, QB?
No, I was busy doing stuff all day yesterday and last night. No, I haven't watched one Thursday night NFL game because I don't have Prime and I could care less about getting it.
That's it. I mean, I don't want to go through the effort. QB, I got some text messages that are not very complimentary of your coach here at Florida from Wednesday. Should I read them, or do you want me to just say no, forget it? So here's a text message from Derek. The Gator, remember the bag over their head? The Gators, whatever. This guy can't coach himself out of a wet paper bag. This one is from Shane. This is Billy got it handed to him again. Every play he ran, Georgia knew and ate it alive. 4th and dumb from your own 30, down just 10-7. First play, second quarter, while we had momentum, still simply gave Georgia the game. I don't know if it gave them the game.
That's stupid.
We stopped them 3 times in the first half, but 2 short field touchdowns blew it open. Put a tight end on the tackle side. Roll your quarterback out. Max protect. Seriously, SB Billy is simply
That's
lousy.
Tyler. Is that Tyler from Spartanburg?
No, this is a guy named Shane.
Again, guy probably ain't never called a play in his life, and now he's
guy
got all the answers.
Yeah. Okay, here's one. Billy can recruit, but he's got to get an OC or this crap.
No, look.
I'm just reading.
I know. Everybody thinks I'm trying to tell people you better worry about your defense. Worry about your defense.
This guy's the worst play caller since Lynn Amity. Who the hell was that? Do you remember who that was? Lynn Amity.
I played for Lynn Amity. Yeah.
Well, he must be a pretty good quarterback coach. Too short.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. The more I think about that Georgia game, I had zero problems with anything he called in that game. I had no problem with the double reverse. I had no problem with the trick play on fourth down. Even Coach Spurrier said he would have gone for it.
Here's Mason. Mason said, this is a text or email guy says, this man cannot call plays, has no feel for the game or what to call and when. His game management simply is not quality, SEC quality. Review the tape, Shane, meaning you. It should be obvious. That's what he said.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I do review tapes there, buddy. I'd be happy to sit in a game sit down and watch it with you and explain football to you.
Okay,
look, I'm not going to sit here and argue about he's a great play caller because look, everybody. I mean, I would sit here and tell you Sean Payton, who's a tremendous play caller, did not call plays great in some of his games this year. Everybody has mistakes. The bottom line is what people cannot accept is that it doesn't matter what we would have done in the Georgia game. We were not beating them, JC.
Yeah.
We were so overmatched, it's not even close.
True.
And people that wear Gator jerseys or T-shirts don't want to admit it. Yeah. And it's the facts.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fact.
I mean, there's a big difference in personnel out there. You can tell. But Florida does have skilled guys on offense that can get the ball.
They have tremendous skill players.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And I think, when they play teams like Arkansas and when they play teams like Kentucky and Tennessee, I think the fans just want to see more of that. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, we have to beat Arkansas. It's that simple. They're not a great team, but they're a solid football team, and they have a big quarterback that they're going to run quarterback power with. And so anyway,
you think it'll be that much different than when Dan Enos was there before he got?
I don't at all.
I don't either. I mean, you can't really install a new offense in 2 weeks, can you? Maybe you can.
No, I mean you could put some a few things in there, but
Wrinkles.
again,
Yeah.
I don't think they're doing anything all year long. You know, KJ Jefferson, I think, was the preseason All SEC quarterback pick. He is who he is. He's not a great thrower. He's a good, powerful runner. I mean, maybe they didn't run him maybe Dan Enos wasn't running him enough. I think you see more quarterback runs this week. So anyway, text on Titan our text line from Dwayne. He says, love JC and he can have his opinion, but the only reason he disagrees or doesn't like Dabo's response is either because he clearly didn't hear the kid's whole comments or he doesn't like Dabo. But given the BS and disrespect that came from that kid's mouth warranted all 4 minutes of Dabo's response.
I guess if that's it, I mean, if it really matters, if it really matters what this guy Tyler from Spartanburg said, then sure. But I just don't know why it does.
Yeah, but the funniest thing is, I don't know if you saw the very next day, Dabo came into his press conference, and they usually have the SID or whatever say, okay, Johnny, you're up first. Question for Dabo.
Right.
Whoever it was goes, somebody asked Dabo what he was dressing up for Halloween. He says, I can't remember what he said, and he goes, what are y'all dressing up in? And one of them goes, Tyler from Spartanburg. It was pretty funny.
Did he laugh at least about that?
Oh, yeah. He died laughing.
Yeah,
he died laughing.
Look, Dabo Swinney is an Alabama guy. He is a Roll Tide, played for Alabama. He has been the guy mentioned first to replace Saban when Saban retires, which will probably never happen. And, I don't dislike him at all. I just couldn't believe the response he gave to this dummy that called on the radio show.
Yeah.
Okay. And I give Tyler credit for not being afraid to say what he thinks. And I give Dabo credit for taking calls. How many coaches, think about it, how many coaches actually sit there and take calls off the cuff? Nothing scripted, nothing pre-produced. He just took it right on the phone. These coaches don't do that in much at all anymore. They don't. Some don't even have coaching shows. I remember when back in the good old days, they'd have a show in the morning on TV sponsored by Golden Flake. My God, Bear Bryant used to do a show sponsored by Golden Flake, potato chips and pretzels, Birmingham, Alabama. And he wouldn't even, they'd be showing the plays of Alabama's win against Vanderbilt or Tennessee. And all he'd be talking about is the kids, where he came from, what his mother's name was, and what town he lived in, and what high school he played in. We didn't even get any kind of analysis from the Bear on what that play was, because all those plays looked the same anyway back in those days. Basically handed off, but it was fun to watch the Bear Bryant show sponsored by Golden Flake. So anyhow, those days are over, man. Coaches don't want to do this stuff ad hominem. They don't, or they don't want to do it spontaneously. But Dabo did it. He took calls. He
did. So we got a ton of questions here, or just comments regarding the OC again.
And boy!
The reason I say about defense, I just don't think. I think Austin Armstrong is going to be a very good coach. I just don't think we have great players on that side of the football right now. I think we have much better players on offense. But Ted says Brent Peace was highly regarded and a fair OC, no OC. Look, Billy may hire one. I don't know. But my question to all these so-called experts that want an OC, who the hell are you going to hire?
Yeah, well, I know you make the point about the guy that got hired at Clemson. And he's 4-4. Yeah,
they're struggling offensively.
Yeah, but I guess you got 500 coaches this guy's got on his staff, and now somebody told me yesterday that's what everybody does. I don't really think it is. You think Bobby?
No, they do. I mean, Alabama's got 1 million too. I don't know why you need that many.
I don't know.
But yeah, Alabama's got as many as we do.
I think Alabama started that trend. I mean, Alabama.
They did.
Yeah, Nick Saban. But you get results up there. Okay, he's been getting results since 2008. That's the difference.
Yeah. So Tim says Golden Flake's the chip of the SEC, not Alabama.
Damn right it is. Well, it was sponsored by Golden Flake, Birmingham, Alabama. We're going to beat the hell out of LSU tomorrow, dude. I can't
We're going
to
talk about that here in just a second. Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself on excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel.
Love LSU.
We got JC on the top of our hotline, courtesy of Tuckville Home Improvements. Also, we'll have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel join us. JC, real quick, before we get to our picks.
I love Edgar Thompson. He's my favorite guy you got on here other than Buddy Martin is Edgar Thompson. He tells it like it is. He's my guy, Edgar Thompson. I think he's – anyway, tell him I love him. I don't think he knows
I'll tell him. I'll make sure I tell him.
I do love me some Edgar Thompson, though.
All right. So this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. This day, 50 years ago, JC, for the mighty Gators. The mighty Gators. Yeah. We had our first ever black starting quarterback in school history. You know who that was? Against the Auburn Tigers. Your hated rival.
Tyrone Young.
Wrong.
Was it? Oh,
I think his nephew. I think he's related somehow.
Gaffney. Don Gaffney.
Don Gaffney.
Don Gaffney. And Don Gaffney was great. I really liked him, and he had some siblings or family members that also played for the Florida. Don Gaffney. Yes, he was the 1970s Gators when they had that cool helmet with the UF on the side and the blue stripe down the middle. Don Gaffney. I remember him. He was one of my favorite. I think he wore number 8. And
he did wear number 8. I'm looking.
Yeah. Don
Gaffney. And I don't know how he's related to Jabbar Gaffney. I don't know if that's his uncle or.
I think they are related in some.
Well, obviously, there's not many. They both are from Jacksonville, so I'm sure they're related.
Gaffney was cool. He was a cool guy. Really enjoyed. Yeah, I liked him. But those were the teams that went 7-5 every year, and it's okay. I mean, yes, and I can't believe I said Tyrone Young. That was a terrible guess. But Don Gaffney, thank you for saying that. I know exactly who he was. And
okay, so he's the uncle. They tell me here he's the uncle to Jabbar.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
who just went into the. I think Jabbo just went into the UF Hall of Fame.
And then we also had back in the 80s. We also had early 80s. We had John L. Brown. He came from Gainesville High School. And
what's that got to do with Don Gaffney?
Nothing. But he was another guy who had nephews and sons play for the game. Remember Vernell Brown? Remember that?
Yeah. Well, do you want to go through the family tree of all the Gators, the McGriffs, and
the McGriffs were great.
The Odoms.
Lee McGriff was the first one. Lee McGriff. He was
well, we're talking about Don Gaffney here.
I love Don Gaffney. He's cool, man.
And thanks for Rodney. Rodney says it was Don, Derek, John, and Jabbar.
Derek Gaffney. Gosh, that's right, man. This is firing me up. I love these old Gators. But
what's funny is you just said they probably went 7-5. That's been my point for the last year and a half. That's what Florida was until Orr got here.
Yeah, that is what Florida was. Now Galen Hall had some success. Charlie Pell did, but they did it the wrong way in those mid-'80s. Those mid-'80 teams cannot be forgotten if you love the University of Florida, because those guys.
I've been trying to talk to some people about them.
Yes.
Honoring or doing something for it.
Something.
Is it 84 or 85 they won the
SEC? Both years, but 84 was the year that I recall saying that they were the best team, and it was clear. And BYU won the national title that year by barely beating a 500 6-6 Michigan team in some lousy bowl game. Florida would have wiped the floor with BYU and Lavelle Edwards. They were so much more physical and athletic than anybody in America. They beat everybody, and what they did to Auburn and Georgia was criminal. And I loved it because Auburn and Georgia always were on the schedule in successive weeks. And that was the most frustrating time for my father and I was watching Florida choke against the Georgia Bulldogs or lose to Auburn. It just stunk. It was hard. But not the 84 Gators, man. No, sir. And the 85 Gators. They had no time for those guys. They wiped the field with them.
All right, JC, let's get to our Peachland Dental. I have no idea. I feel like I even picked a game in about 2 weeks. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry, Port Charlotte, surrounding areas. JC and the QB, Peachland Dentistry weekend picks.
I mean, this is what everybody looks forward to. I think clearly they mark their calendar for Friday around 8:15, 8:20 in the morning, and they get excited about this. Well, I mean, look, I'm 46 at 35-1, and you come in at 33, 48-1, but you can make a comeback. We've got 10 games. With 3 pro games. Great NFL schedule, by the way, this weekend. Let's start with Kansas State.
Hang on a second. We just got a text on the Titan Number text line.
Okay.
2 of them real quick.
Sure.
Daryl asked Shane, being that you have seen Miles Graham, do you think he will get a lot of playing time for Florida as a true freshman? Absolutely he will at linebacker. And then this gentleman says, don't forget about Warren Gaffney.
Oh, yeah. That's right. The Gaffney family was predominant here at Florida. Yes,
They had more people there than the Jacksons, I think.
Yeah, man. The Gaffneys loved the Gaffneys. All right, Kansas State plus 3.5 at Texas. Texas using that backup quarterback. I'm not sure if Quinn Ewers is going to play for a couple of weeks. I don't know what his status is, but he's not playing in this game, and that's why K-State's getting only 3.5 in Austin. Who you got?
K-State's been playing pretty good ball. Let me ask you this, JC, because I know you love the Texas Longhorns.
I do like them.
So why is Arch Manning not the guy playing?
And, he's the one making all the money. Maybe because Arch Manning in practice just doesn't show Steve Sarkisian what he's ready to do. Maybe Steve Sarkisian just decides, you know what, this guy's not ready. We got to play. Yeah. We got to play Malik Murphy. I think is his name. But Quinn Ewers is clearly their best quarterback.
All right. Well, I'm going to go. I'm going to take. That just doesn't make sense. That K-State. What is K-State's record? Do you know that, JC? I don't watch football like I used to.
It really does. It's like I'm talking to some guy.
I'll take the Wildcats.
Okay. Yeah. Will Howard. All you need to know is Will Howard is healthy, and that is their guy at Kansas State. This is a good game, and I know who you're going to take.
Who did you pick?
I'm sorry. I took the Wildcats. Yeah, plus 3.5.
Oh, you're going against your Longhorns.
Yeah, I think they could slip up in this one. Now, they probably won't. They'll probably win, but there's something about that line that's fishy. Okay, Kansas State. Well, I'll tell you here in a minute. But the next game, QB, I want you to think about is your beloved Clemson Tigers with your beloved Dabo Swinney catching 3 against Notre Dame. Maybe that's the real reason he was upset this week is because he knows Notre Dame's going to come in here and run him over. I don't know, but it's 3 points. What do you think?
It's at Death Valley?
I mean, you can call it Death Valley. I call it Happy Valley now, but Unhappy Valley. But yeah, you can call it Death Valley if you want to.
God, I just it's hard to believe Clemson to go 4-5. I love Sam Hartman though, but
yeah, and
I think they're gonna rally the troops around Tyler and beat the Irish.
Okay, give me the Irish. I don't care about rallies or any of that. They're better. They got a better team. All right, here's a good one. Bedlam, maybe the last time these two play for a long time. Oklahoma State's been waiting for this for I don't know how long. It's the biggest game in their school's history, probably. They're playing their hated cross-state rival Oklahoma Sooners, who they say left them, at the altar there when Oklahoma took the SEC bid. But they've got a running back named Ollie Gordon. I don't know if you guys know anything about some of these other players on some of these other teams, but Okie State has Ollie Gordon, and that dude is the real deal. He had 270 some odd yards last week running the football. Ollie Gordon, I'll take Ollie Gordon in an emotional game, getting 6 against your other beloved Oklahoma Sooners.
Well, I like Okie State. What's amazing? I do like Okie State. They're playing good football right now. They got blown out at home early in the year to South Alabama.
They sure did, and they've turned it around.
But I think they win. I really do.
Okay, I'll give you that pick as well. All right, the semis. I have to put them on the board because they're coming to Gainesville in a few weeks. They're laying 21.5 at Pitt, where Pitt is a team that can lose by 60 to Notre Dame in 1 week and beat the pants off Louisville. So I got no idea what Pitt is, but I do think I know what FSU is, and 21.5 is not enough. They will cover that against Pittsburgh.
Is this game in Pittsburgh?
Yes.
I'll take the Pitt Panthers with the points.
Oh, okay. That's probably a very smart pick, but I think they're a terrible football team. Washington at Southern Cal, 3 points. Caleb Williams, Michael Penix Jr. Kalen DeBoer coached 1 year at Indiana, 1. And this Michael Penix guy had his best season before now at Indiana. No secret why Michael Penix is in Washington. Some people ask, why is that dude playing in Seattle, Washington? It's because he followed his coach at Indiana, and they are dialed in. But you know what? They played a weak Stanford team and had trouble with them. And Southern Cal, well, they got to lose. But it's only 3 points, and I think that's not enough. I'm taking Washington.
Man.
You love Southern Cal.
It's in the Coliseum, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. They'll throw for 500 yards on that team.
Both teams will throw for 500. I think whoever has the ball last is going to win the game, quite honestly.
Yeah,
Washington has struggled against a couple of opponents.
Yeah.
I think Washington has more to play for. Now
Okay.
that, I mean, USC can still get to the Pac-12 championship game. They can't play in
Yes.
the 14 playoff, but
Yeah.
I'll go Huskies.
Okay.
I think they find a way.
You sound very hesitant there. By the way,
I think it's a toss-up.
okay. Kansas State, by the way, is 6-2, and they lost at Missouri this year. But Kansas State, they also lost to Okie State. That the Cowboy Pistol Pete. I got to pull out my Pistol Pete shirt next week. Texas A&M, we go to the SEC. John James Fisher is taking the boys up to Oxford at the Grove. I think Mississippi is a real team. The second place finisher in the West last year likely will be second place after Alabama blows out LSU. Mississippi is giving the Aggies 3 points. Who you got?
That makes no sense.
Well,
you're talking about a fishy line.
Okay.
First of all, Ole Miss, how were they second in the West last year, JC?
Yeah, they were better than the other 5 teams.
They were better than Alabama?
No, they were second. Alabama.
Okay, LSU was first.
Okay, excuse me. They were tied with Alabama. And then the year before that, they were second behind Alabama. So let me clarify that. But Lane's consistent, man. He gets that team close to 10 wins it's unbelievable. I don't know why you don't. You should be so happy with what's going on at your childhood school. Okay.
Oh, I am. If I think Florida would have the same record as Alabama, as Ole Miss probably right now, if they played that schedule. Oh, look at Ole Miss's schedule, JC. Have you looked at their schedule?
Well, it is. We're talking
about. They ain't played nobody. And then one team they played, they lost.
Yeah.
They
beat LSU at home.
Yeah, they did in a track meet. And LSU they did some dumb stuff. Talking about dumb coaching decisions. Called Brian Kelly out at the end of that game.
Yeah.
This is the best defense that Ole Miss has faced. It's better than Alabama's.
You think? Texas A&M?
It is statistically. It is, I believe. I think A&M is going to win this game for some. I just don't understand why it's only 3 points.
You don't love your childhood team.
Can you tell? Does that not make sense to you, JC? Why is it only 3?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I think Ole Miss is going to hammer them. But listen, you could be right. You might call this one. You might. But I got no faith in John James. I think he sucks. How about this one?
I agree with that.
15.5 points. You're giving Brady Cook. I almost said Drew Lock. You're giving Brady Cook 15.5. You got Luther Burden, who's one of the best players in the country that nobody knows about, but he truly is. And you got Georgia coming off an emotional win against their hated rival, Florida. And you're giving me all that and 15.5 between the hedges. I'm taking it. Give me Missouri. I'm probably a sucker.
It makes perfect sense, but I'll take the Dogs.
Yeah, you do love Kirby. I love Kirby. Listen, Kirby.
This game could be 35-10.
It could easily be another one of those days, but I just think they play better defense than some of these teams Georgia's played. Certainly have.
We thought the same. We thought the same thing about Kentucky too when they rolled in there.
That's a very good point. All right, here's a big one here. Auburn is at Vandy, who's still in the SEC somehow. So Auburn minus 12.5 against Vandy. I'm taking Vandy.
I like Vandy too because I just think Auburn has a hard time scoring.
Well, they put it on your Bulldogs last week, but that's true.
I said Vandy.
Excuse me. Speaking of your Bulldogs, your state dogs getting 4.5 at home in a night game at Davis Wade Stadium against Kentucky.
Who is the quarterback going to be? That's the key.
Yeah, that is the key. But Kentucky is only laying 4.5. Vegas knows who these quarterbacks are just as much as we do.
Well, so that means Will Levis ain't playing that. Not Will Levis. Will Rogers.
You're right about that. Will Levis is not playing. Quarterback's getting a headache over here.
Yeah. Well, Mississippi State needs Will Rogers.
Yes, they probably could use Will Levis too, QB. I'm taking this.
I'm going to go ahead. Even with the other guy, he can run around. He can't throw, but I'm going to take the home team.
Take the Dogs. And then finally, we got the big game of the week, LSU +3. Your beloved Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels, your favorite quarterback of all time, playing Alabama. I don't know, man. This to me, Jalen Milroe is going to hit them deep. They're going to run the ball over these guys. If Alabama runs for 150 to 200 yards on the ground, they will win the game by 2 touchdowns. I'm taking Alabama. Right.
What is the line?
3. Everybody thinks your Heisman Trophy winner is going to light up Alabama.
I'm the only person that thinks he's got a chance to win the Heisman because I think he's had the better year of anybody in America.
Our other friend does too, by the way.
Who's that?
The big fella. He thinks Jaden's going to win the Heisman too.
I saw something. I'm trying to find it here that LSU's over has gone over in like 18 straight games.
They don't play defense, QB, but
do you know what but what's crazy is, do you see what the over-under is for this game? It's like 60. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Now, the over has hit in 12 straight LSU games.
Wow.
15 of the last 16.
Wow.
And it says the total is 61 points with Alabama. It's hard to see an Alabama game at 61.
Well, and that again, that's why I think if Alabama can run the ball for 150 to 200 yards, that clock will run.
Yeah, I'll take Alabama at home.
Now, does LSU has that Harold Perkins guy, right? Is he still there with them? He's pretty damn good.
He drops into cover. I don't know what the hell they're doing with him.
Okay. 3 NFL games real quick. The Dolphins at Kansas City. The Chiefs played their worst game in 3 years last week when they lost. Kansas City something was wrong with them in Denver. Miami's getting 1.5 points, but I'm going to take Tyreek Hill coming back to Kansas City and winning that game at Arrowhead. I'm going to put you down.
They're not playing Arrowhead. They're playing in like Japan.
Oh, you're right.
No,
it's not Japan. It's Frankfurt, Germany. Excuse me. That's why that line is 1.5. I like the Dolphins all day long.
The Chiefs have been struggling.
They're weird.
I'm going to go Chiefs. I'm going to go Chiefs just to be opposite of you.
Okay, Dallas is catching 3 at Philly. This is a big game for that division in the NFC. Dallas looked good last week. They're healthy. Philadelphia Brown. Nobody can cover this A.J. Brown guy. It doesn't matter. You can put Deion Sanders and Lester Hayes on this guy. They can't cover him for some reason.
Philly. Where's the game?
It's in Philadelphia. Yeah.
And what's the point spread?
3.
Oh, I'll take the Eagles at home.
Yep. Their Eagles are too hard to predict against at home. They're really good at home, but I'm rooting for Cowboys. And then Buffalo is laying 2. I'm sorry, Buffalo is catching 2 against your Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, your Cincinnati Bengals. Huh?
Is in Cincy?
It's on the river, baby.
Hey, number 9 is healthy.
Yeah,
playing like he normally does. I'll take the Bengals at home.
I'll just be different because you like to be different. I'll be different. I think Cincinnati could easily win this game, but something about Buffalo. So Josh Allen. So I'll take the 2 points, and there you have it. There's our picks for the week. Oh, Florida, Arkansas. My score will be Florida 6, Arkansas 3. And I'll give it that. I'll take the Gators 27, Arkansas 20. How about that? 7 point.
That'll be a barn burner. All right, JC.
All right.
Wear your black Saturday. We'll see. We'll see you at the game. That's JC. JC joins us on the Titan MR hotline. Take a quick time out.
I love him.
We'll come back.
I love him. All right.
JC's boyfriend. He loves Edgar. Edgar Thompson will be joining us on the Titan MR hotline. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Thursday, November the 16th, come celebrate the release of our Spurrier's Gridiron Grill Lugo's Risky Rum. This exclusive release features a special spread of our farm-to-table food, rum cocktails, raffles, and a meet and greet with me. Each ticket includes a bottle of Spurrier's Single Barrel Select Risky Rum. And I'll sign the bottle if you'd like. So get your ticket before they sell out at spurriers.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Rose Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to have life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Let's go back to the Titan MR hotline. Courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements, our man, Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel, who is, he must didn't turn his heater on this morning, or he's either going out and hitting the slopes after the show with his beanie on. What's happening, Edgar?
The heat's cranking. My house is freezing. I'm a wimp. But I will say this to people. First off, the homes in Florida aren't very well insulated, and I have jalousie windows. I live in an old school home. But go shave your head off and talk to me about, staying warm. Hair is an important element to warmth.
I agree. I don't have to worry about
You got a nice head of hair, and I have no hair.
Yeah. Edgar, before we jump into the Gators, I was not on the show yesterday. We lost Bobby Knight. I'm sure you covered him along your career somewhere, but you wanted to share with us a story about Bobby Knight.
Well, I have a very good one, and people probably even remember elements of this moment that are basketball fans and been around a while. So 1992, I was at New Mexico at the time, the Pit, the famous arena that was a great facility for many, many years that they, of course, changed and the programs declined and everything. I missed all that, thankfully, because I was there for a good era of New Mexico basketball. Anyway, Bobby Knight's 1992 team was there, as was Florida State's team with Charlie Ward, Bob Sura, really good team. They were all in the Sweet 16. I think Don McClain and UCLA were there, and there was another school I'm forgetting. But they advanced Bobby Knight, Calbert Chaney, and that crew was his last Final Four team. So Knight comes in to the press conference, and this columnist buddy of mine, unfortunately, who's passed away now, Richard Stevens, like, man, we need to go sit up front, buddy. This is what this is all about. Knight walks in with a whip. He's carrying a whip. He takes the tip of it and puts it in the water, like to get it, a little bit more, right? And my friend, Richard Stevens, like, is that for sports writers? And he goes, I wouldn't waste this on a sports writer, right? So that was funny. But then this television guy, Henry Tafoya, local guy, kind of goofy. He's like, Coach Knight, do your team have its game face on? And this is a famous Bobby Knight thing. He's like, game face? What's game? And he starts making these faces like contorting his face. It's famous. And that was right there, like 10 feet away from me on the dais up here. So then he goes to the court and he's got the whip. So Calbert Chaney, black player, playfully sticks his butt out and even kind of pulls his pants down to show his, like, they wear the, compression shorts and all that.
Right.
And Knight playfully, like, smacks him on the rear end. People take footage, it gets going, it becomes a huge deal. Today, they'd probably be burning the place down. But back then, it was still a big deal. And then AACP woman, Alice Hoppus, who never lost an opportunity to kind of ratchet it up, she's going after him and withdraw from the tournament or whatever. So the next day, we're doing the press conference at a local hotel, and no one asked about it, of all things. So we're all wimps. So my editor's like, we got to ask Bobby Knight about this. So I chased Bobby Knight down the hall. I'm going to be the big guy asking Bobby Knight the $1 million question. Finally gets to his courtesy car. And I'm like, Coach Knight. And he turns around. He's huge. He's like 6'6". What? And I'm like, yes, sir. Do you have any comment on the NAACP's reaction to your... He's like, I can't say the word. Are you effing kidding me? And like just in my spittle flying. I'm like, thank you. And just turn and just walk away, tail between my legs. That's my one Bobby Knight story. It was a memorable one.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, it was.
We got a text on the Titan our text line. I'm not sure who this is from. It says, QB, why not Willie Corn as the offensive coordinator from Liberty? He has ties to Billy and runs similar scheme with creative run game. I don't know anything about Willie Corn. Again,
his name has been flying around.
Edgar, I mean, look, whether Billy hires somebody or not, I try to tell everybody the hottest commodity out there for offensive coordinator last year was Garrett Riley from TCU. And he went to Clemson and they're just kind of sputtering around. So, I don't know.
I know that's your thing. Do you feel, we've talked about this. I wrote about it Sunday. I got some blowback that the play call. We talked about it. In fact, before I wrote this piece, I talked to you and several others, and you kind of were pushing back a little, which I respect. You know the game. And
well, I do, because hold
on.
Yeah.
You don't think there needs to be more input, at least in the offense, whether it's Russ Callaway or somehow configuring it so he's getting a little more input and a little less on his plate is where I'm coming from.
Possibly.
There's a lot of issues.
But I think the last 3 games, it's the last 3 games or last 2 games, I think he's been a lot better. I think he's been a lot better opening it up and letting our playmakers make plays. If a couple of the plays are executed better, or we actually get a hand on the outside rusher on a couple plays, people may think differently. I mean, we weren't beating Georgia regardless. It doesn't matter. But I'm a believer of when guys get jobs, it's because of what they've done and what they've been doing. And I do realize that being a head coach in today's world is a little bit different, but there's a bunch of dudes that are head coaches at Power 5 schools calling plays. So I'm still a big believer that I have bigger concerns for our defense than I do offense. And this has nothing to do with Austin Armstrong, because I think he's going to be a great coach. He has great energy. Maybe it's just our personnel or what, but when you got guys running wide open and, you just run a typical gap scheme and guys are gashing you 12, 15, 20 yards, that just shouldn't happen. So Ted says we got Brent Peace, and he was mad. Kurt Roper did not help either. No OC. Yeah. I mean, guarantee you.
Kurt Roper probably helped a touch, but Brent Pease here was the thing. Will Muschamp micromanage those guys? We all know. We could tell. Brent Pease, I don't think was very happy, and certainly Kurt Roper wasn't, the way things were going behind the scenes. And I don't know, man. It's like if Billy does not make any change to this staff, I would be surprised.
I would be surprised at that.
I'll be stunned.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I just don't know how he can't. Yeah. This team's 11-10 right now, Shane, and I get it. Their talent deficiencies. Here's something for you. Dan Mullen, 2019 class, not one offensive lineman above a 3-star. 2020, one was above a 3-star, and it might have been Josh Braun. I haven't looked. And he's at Arkansas now. And Isaiah Walker ended up going back to Miami immediately. I don't count him among that. And he was a pretty good recruit, but he was homesick and left and went back to Miami immediately. I don't know if he panned out. I don't think he did. But anyway, point is, you have that. You flip it, defensive line. We talked about this. No defensive tackle, one defensive tackle in 19, Jalen Humphreys, who's never gotten on the field. 3 the next year, Lamar Goods, Jalen Lee, Dexter. Dexter's the only one of the 4, and you didn't even think he was very good. And no inside linebackers, those 2 classes. That sums it all up for everyone.
I agree, because my eyes have told me for the last 6, 7, whatever, how many years, the interior box players on both sides have not been very good. That's what you're referring to, correct?
Yes, I'm saying the
Yes.
middle of the team, the Bill Parcells, build it from the inside out. That's an old school approach. You got to have it though. You don't think
Yeah.
Kirby, Nick, Ohio State? I mean, I don't know. The best programs built from the inside out.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Michigan, look at Michigan.
Yep, they're boring as hell to watch, but they are stout. The interior sides of both sides of the ball. Edgar, let me ask you this: we got a couple of texts from several people on the Titan Mar text line regarding the Shamar James injury. He's out for the year. Did this happen? I saw him in pregame tweak something. Now, I don't know if it was a recurring injury, but did the turf have any play into this?
Mark Long, we did our pod yesterday, and Mark is Mr. Jaguars and that stadium. I mean, he was showing me like back ways the other day. I mean, I've been going there for years. He knows that place like the back of his hand. He was talking to people about that. They put new turf in. I guess there's rules that you have to, put it in after certain play. It has to take 48 hours. And they put it in with enough time to take, but it was browning around the edges. It didn't take as quickly. But there was no like rutting in the turf. This wasn't dangerous. They claim it wasn't the deal. So he has had that injury, as Billy pointed out. It's a dislocating kneecap. It recurs like a dislocated shoulder. Billy said, those things come out and you got to pop them back in to the point where when you can't and they're too loose, you got to have surgery. It sucks for the Gators because, man, they got Shamar is going to, needs to keep growing as a player. He's maybe a teeny bit undersized in a way, but man, he makes plays and he's our leading tackler. And you don't want to lose him because you got a lot of great offenses coming up after this weekend, because Arkansas certainly isn't one. You talk about the defense. The defense might look pretty good this week. Arkansas's offense is putrid. Their offensive line's worse than Florida's. So they're bad on offense. And if Rocket Sanders, a running back who led the SEC with 17-14, I believe, from scrimmage last year, and this year's been hurt with a knee since week 1, if he comes back 100%, that could factor a little, but even when he was playing, he wasn't doing much. And I'll say this, man, Arkansas's defense does have some players. So Florida's offense is going to be tested. They have some guys. In fact, they have some guys that Florida damn well could use. This Landon Walker guy, I mean, 6'7", 281. I mean, he creates havoc. He's an LSU transfer. They have a linebacker. I don't have his name in front of me, Jaheim Edwards or something. I'm sure I'm missing it, but he's good. And this guy's a 6'4", 240-pound player who's productive. So they do have some guys, and Dwight McLaughlin is an all-SEC corner if he comes back. He's been out with a concussion. So, I mean, it's not a full complement of guys, but they do have some players. And I don't know, it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow, at least for a while, I think. They're not going to come out drag this team like McNeese or something.
No, it should be a good one. Edgar, I didn't hear any of the comments from Sam Pittman on his, the weekly SEC deal or whatever, but obviously we all know that he changed offensive coordinators. I don't know if Dan Enos is still on staff or if they actually fired him and told him to get out.
I don't either.
Did Sam Pittman talk about what their plans are offensively, or did you not hear it either?
I didn't listen, man. I've been so up to my eyeballs in this story we're going to talk about in a minute. I don't know what the answers are. It's Jaheim Thomas, by the way. Sorry, Jaheim. But he, I'm sure he's not watching the pod. But
I was just laughing at Tony. He says, "Is Edgar climbing Mount Everest after this?"
It'd be nice. I wish I was capable.
All right, let's switch gears because we only got a few more minutes about the story, which I actually mentioned it earlier as this day in sports, which today, 50 years ago, Don Gaffney became the first black quarterback to start a game for the Florida Gators. You're doing a story on it, correct?
I've worked a lot on this story, and I wanted to write it prior. We were trying to get pictures of Don and his teammates. Don wasn't able to make it for the Vanderbilt game last minute. So we're taking pictures of him tomorrow. This is going to be a Sunday piece. It's going to be long. and it's very interesting. It's a couple thousand words. I'm not quite finished. Just so much fascinating history from that period. I spent multiple days with him and Doug Dickey. In fact, I had lunch over at Coach Dickey's house. It was like old school chicken salad and pickles, and just it was kind of cool and fun. Right? His wife was great. He's amazing. Doug Dickey's 91, and he is just sharp. He's unbelievable. And so we were talking about playing golf because he's a huge golfer. So he's a good man. And he did an incredible thing back in the 70s, integrating this program at a time it was very difficult to do these kinds of things. And Don Gaffney was one of the biggest, stars and players and faces of that whole movement, let's say. Leonard George and Willie Jackson started it. Don was in the 4th class that included Black players, the 1972 class. He was a big-time star at Jacksonville Reigns. That area that he grew up in, north side of Jacksonville, it's unbelievable, the athletes that came out of there. I mean, the quarterbacks at Reigns were like Ken Burrow, Truck Robinson, Harold Carmichael. These guys played quarterback. These are like 6'6" and 7".
Harold Carmichael's from Jackson. I didn't know he was from Jacksonville.
He played quarterback at Reigns before, and then Terry LeCount came after Gaffney. It was a football factory. Earl Kitchings, who's a legend, followed by Jimmy Johnson, won 42 straight. Kitchings coached Bob Hayes, and undefeated team in 58. It's just been a walk down memory lane, not even memory lane. It's, stuff I didn't even know. And it's been a fascinating story to do. He started Don Gaffney to shake up the offense. They lost 4 straight. They had a bye week before going to Auburn. They never won at Auburn. They ended up winning 12-8. Beginning what was remembered now is in November to remember, 5 wins. This was grinded out football. 11-10 win over Georgia with your former colleague Lee McGriff catching the winning touchdown pass. And it was grinded out football. He called it nasty, nasty football is what Don said. They played on the turf. They won 12 straight on the turf with Don. And that team was, once Don took over, they were 22-8. It was respectable. They went to a Sugar Bowl that year. One year they went 9-3, man, and lost to Maryland, I think, in the Gator Bowl. That team lost a 1-point game to Lou Holtz's NC State team 8-7, fumbling 6 times, and then lost like a 3-point game to Georgia 10-7 when the kicker slipped or something. So that team could have been unbeaten. That 75 team, that was a good team. They ran the wishbone. It's just old school stuff, man. I really encourage people to read it. I put a lot of time and effort into it. Don is a great man. We've really connected. He's cool.
How old is Don now?
He's 68, but he's taken a beating. He's had 4 back surgeries. It's like the sport just takes it out of you. You're lucky, man. You're going to go play golf today. You didn't get the beating that some of these guys.
Well, I'm only 53, but I still hurt, and I feel like at 68 I'll be hurting really bad. So we'll see. What's interesting is you mentioned him being the first Black quarterback to start a game, and then you talked about Leonard Jordan, Willie Jackson Jr., the first Black football players.
Well,
I got to speak.
Willie Jackson Sr.
Yes, senior. Yeah. I spoke at the Clay County Gator Club a couple of weeks ago, and I got to meet Ron Coleman, who is the first Black athlete ever at the University of Florida, track star.
Okay.
Nice. He was there. there. So
was this team, people remember the record. They didn't win anything. They didn't win titles. This is where I'm at in the story. I'm almost finished it. I'm sending it soon, but they didn't win titles, and they didn't, do these things. They had some of these close calls, right? 4 of those 8 losses were by a possession or less. So they didn't do the things that would make them a team to remember, especially at a school that's now won 3 national titles and all the SEC titles now. But they made an impact. You had Sammy Green was the first All-American player, 200 tackles one year. Vince Kendrick was the first Black team captain. Don's impact. And just the list goes on of great players. Jimmy DuBose, who I spoke with for the story, he ran for 1,300 and some yards in 75. It was the record till Emmett broke it. So they did have impact, and they were great players. And it was an era that people really should reflect on and remember, because it was the start of really just big changes in SEC football throughout the conference.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Edgar, we appreciate your time letting us know about that story, and let everybody know how they can read this story this
I'll
weekend.
I'll tweet it. I hope they don't put it behind a paywall. They've been metering a lot of stories lately so people can at least get a taste of stuff. And I'm going to ask that they do that, because I really think there's a story that would be great for, Gator fans to get a little history lesson. I think history is important. And these guys certainly made a sacrifice and went through a lot. There's a lot of racism and things like that came their way, including Doug Dickey experienced himself. So turbulent times, but worth remembering.
Yep, no doubt about it. I'm looking forward to reading it because when you don't grow up a Gator fan, you don't know about a lot of this